You love me so, me so, me so. I know. You love me so, me so, me so. I know. You love me so, me so, me so.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for keeping coming back. Today we come with quite a topic. And I sit here and I never converse alone, as you know, and I never sit alone. And I want to extend that conversation to say you too never walk alone. So come along, bring another, let's all journey together as we dive into today's conversation. We are talking about parenting, and parenting does not always happen in an environment where you are ready. Sometimes you are still healing from your own traumas. You are still dealing with a lot of things that are happening in your own life. So, joining me today is our favorite bae, Popo. Hello, Maweru.
Hello, Viwe.
How are you?
I'm great. It's an honor. It's a pleasure.
It's
a privilege to be here.
Absolutely. Hello, Daddy Mawetu. Love you.
Thank you.
And we do have a comeback, our regular navigator, our own Dr. Zikona. Popo. Do you want to say hello to our viewers today?
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hello. Thank you.
Good to be here.
Yes, Anna. Today is like a full house because we also have Viwe.
Hello, navigators. I'm glad to be here today. Thank you, Viwe, for inviting me.
We are here seated as people that have gone through some really tough situations in life. And I mean, from divorce to loss of spouse, right? And we are honestly here to say, to lay it bare, to say, let's have this conversation. Let's all share in terms of how we bounced back if we have. Because also I realize we're not necessarily at the same place together as people that will be conversing today. Yay, Sunshine Bay. How do you view parenting? And how do you view parenting through difficult times? How has that been have you always had to parent in an environment where things are just sorted? Or have you had to show up in situations where you also understand that you too need a bit of caring, a bit of, Talk to me about that.
Yeah, because we've never been parents before. We've only been parented, and we become parents, and we think we are in a good state to parent, right? And we go through things that are unbeknown to us, like postnatal depression, right? Understood are taken away.
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
Do men go through postnatal depression?
Everybody.
No, men too?
Yes.
What?
Absolutely.
I thought this was hormonal and related to carrying a child, but I respect that. I just wanted you to make the clarity. Okay, so we're moving along with this conversation. And as I said in my intro, life does not wait for us. And oftentimes, we find ourselves having to be constant in a very inconsistent world where life keeps changing around us. Everything keeps moving, but we are supposed to show up and serve our great selves. But okusalayo, Sikon, it's not news that you have actually gone through a life-changing experience with the divorce and that you are a mother. But at a certain point in your life, you had to mother and you also had to pick yourself up. Mothering through pain. Talk to me.
It's a very painful subject, but I just first want to go to this one. I'm a doctor.
Yes.
Yet at the same time, as much as I'm a medical doctor, and my job is to
heal.
look after people that are unwell and to heal. I've also been a patient. So as a patient, I've had to learn from the people who are healing me and take and be humble enough to want to be healed. So for me, it goes the same way. I've had to mother whilst healing. Yet I've had to mother whilst going through life. It's very different. If you look at It Can Turn, my book, you'll find It Can Turn, the very page, the outside page, where it has my name and it's got a picture. The picture is actually a picture of my 4 children. My eldest is carrying the 4th and holding on to number 2 and number 3. and there's a road, and I'm actually watching them from that road. At that time, I was so sick, and they were going to the salon, and I was so sick. I didn't have any energy to be able to be there for that experience, and that's why I chose that picture. That picture depicted the fact that at that moment, at that
Mommy
time,
wasn't ready.
I was not mom.
Yeah.
They had to mother themselves. At that time, mommy was gone, and it was my prayer that mommy came back. So it's for me there were many times where I knew that I wasn't able to mother my kids.
Oh, baby.
And there were many times where they had to mother themselves, and luckily for me, there's also family that sees how you're doing and assists there and then. Even though that was never my dream, I had never wanted to be a mom that shows up in different phases of their lives. I wanted to always be there, but I had to always know. I had to take in cognizance of the fact that there were times that I was not able to
Baby
be a mom.
girl.
And luckily, years
You
later.
returned.
Years later.
Sanalam.
Now I sit in this chair. I sit in this chair as a proud mother of 4.
Full return, mom.
I'm a proud mother of 4, and there are a few things I know to be true. I know that it depends where I am in terms of my personal life, work, blah, 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 blah. There are many different things that actually affect how I mother them. And this I know for sure. I know that they now have a better understanding of who I am, and they have a better understanding of themselves. And we try as a unit to be a unit, and at the same time learn to be very independent.
Absolutely.
Because we don't know when places and situations in life will put us in situations where we're not together as we are.
Absolutely.
So it's for me, parenting is such an important aspect of who I am. And I've had beautiful children, I think, that have been able to carry that forward, and sometimes without me, but still carry it.
Love it. That was quite a mouthful. I'm still taking a bit.
Yeah.
But I actually want to bring into the conversation of Viwe. And Viwe, I will give you just a bit more time than I did to my fellow navigators, simply because our story is familiar to our viewers, at least by now. But nobody understands what sort of circumstances did you feel were painful and were not usual, and yet you still needed to show up as a parent.
There is a saying, Eti, we make plans and God laughs at us. So when I think about this situation, indenza ndicinge loo nto, that we had plans and we had made plans ngobomi bethu.
Oh, baby.
But God had other plans.
Hey.
But I always say to my sister that it is better to have lost your husband through death than to lose your husband through divorce.
Yima, whoa, stop right there. Oh my goodness. First, let's take our navigators along. So Viwe and Zikona are sisters, right? But they also carry such a wealth of experience through what life has put them through. Life as we know it is not as how we were raised to believe it would be. I think I was one person who could not wait to be an adult. I was just like, Sanalam, Daniela red tape, I'm looking forward to the day where actually the of my life, like I'm showing up for every aspect of my life.
Yes.
But yay! Imagine how train full speed hit a wall, because at times life does bring us such experiences. And I'm one person. Now when it comes to me, communication is like the best thing I do, I believe. Well, with feedback as well. My question is, with communication, as we are encouraged to do with our kids, to what degree do you become honest about what you're going through? And also being responsible enough to allow the kids to be kids, you know?
Yeah.
To what extent do you say, Mama and Tata are at odds with each other and it might not work? And actually, my way to bad kind of this unit is actually falling apart. But to what extent are you allowed to be honest? without letting the kids carry the burden?
It's a skill.
Ha!
Yeah, it's a skill. We can't talk to kids as though we talking to our peers. We have to find them to say things that will be in a child-friendly manner. We must not overburden them with heavy words. We must say it in a way that is measured to land, without compromising the truth, but at the same time, we can say things like, Daddy, in case of Viwe's
A situation,
husband,
yeah.
No, you know what? Given the tutelage and the education that they get from school, Bible studies, Daddy went to be with the angels.
With
the
God.
angels took him, and then he went to be with the Lord above, You can't just say Daddy died. You understand? So we have to train ourselves that we're talking to kids, and when we're talking to kids, we must do so with compassion and empathy.
I see. Yeah. It's quite common for me to come across abantu who speak the language yoba. I'm staying in my marriage, irrespective of the issues, because I am staying for my kids. And in that, for me, at times, I believe that we do not get to express our higher selves. We do not get to live our best lives, if I can call it best lives. We choose to suppress ourselves in situations that can torment us because we are staying with the kids.
Sure.
And I actually just want to say, because you and I have left marriages and through a divorce, which one might say it's voluntary to some extent because are your death, right? I mean, in that space, to what extent do you bring your kids with communication? How honest do you become? And I'm also trying to assist somebody who's in the same predicament, saying everything else, no husband, we know this is never going to work. But there are kids in this circumstance. And also, how honest do you communicate to the kids? Yeah.
Okay, I hear you. Viwe, your question is twofold. Ne? I'd say the first fold, I find those individuals that can do that to be very, very smart, to be very maybe deep. I don't know, to do something that seems impossible. I actually have friends who are professors who are staying because of children, and once the children go to university, they will then think about the divorce. They have figured out that they don't want to be in this marriage anymore, but they love their children more. I'm not too sure I understand their thinking, their psyche when it comes to that, because I've just, sometime last week or this week, I've just read something that said, our men, you know how mental health is a big thing these days. It talks about how your mental health as a parent, it is very pivotal, very important in how the mental health of your child gets structured. So I must say, I didn't think that my mental health is going to end up having something to do with Asa. But the person who was explaining it was so articulate in explaining that if we are not actively involved in trying to make sure that our mental health is fit, we will end up with having children who are on different medications, have different diagnoses. Sure. So basically, I wonder if you are among those that will stay for the children. I wonder if your mental health is also going to be as protected, because mental health is something that is very, it's like a thief. It's something that you can't see up until it just attacks. I always say that, when I had my situation, it felt like it came at night, like a thief in the night, and by the morning I was a different person. So I'm hoping that as people make those decisions, I'm hoping that they make those decisions with their children in sight and with the mentation and the mental health of their children in sight, because children are not stupid. Children are able to, children as young as they are able to see things. They are able to see the things we think they do not see. And that is, I'm not able to keep things in, and I'm not able to do it as properly as other people do. I have 4 children. My children know everything that has to do with my life, everything that has to do with my divorce, everything that has to do with my mental health, very, very unfiltered, so to speak, not age appropriate. I'm sure that the things that Emma, who's 10, knows are things I should have told her when she was 25. But, you know, I always think that there is time, there is no time. I always think that there is not enough time, and that I need to be true now. I need to say the truth now. I need for everything to be known. I don't know whether it comes from the fact that my father committed suicide when I was 4.
Oh,
so
baby.
How he died at 4, there was so much that he was not able to tell me, and I think maybe that's what informs how I deal with life. I deal with life by ensuring that my children know all of me. If I die tomorrow, believe me, even the youngest knows everything about me, knows my losses, knows my triumphs, knows my joys, and all unfiltered. And just before I go, the last thing that happened last weekend, it was so funny. I had forgotten the thing that has my tablets. I usually take tablets to sleep, and so I can't find it. I had forgotten in Tata. And Azza says, okay, can't you have a tea, Nani, Mami? Can't you like drink a tea? And it will probably make you sleep. And I'm like, Nana, I'm not able to sleep without a sleeping tablet. And he looks at me. He says, is it since the divorce? And I say, yes, since 2016. And he says, you haven't been able to sleep since 2016? I say, yes. And he looks at me, and I understand.
Wow, baby.
For the first time, he sits and thinks, wow. And he looks at me and he says, I'm sorry.
Oh.
And I hope you'll sleep one day.
Oh.
So our children are not.
I love that you say that, because I'm one person who is always, sort of offended by how people are so literal in their translation of what it means to be a human being. I find that oftentimes we assume that because kids are under 18, they do not carry their own agency, they do not understand, and they do not elect and vote for certain things in their lives. So you'll often find a very absent parent assuming bangabantwana aba, nguwe lo umosha abantwana, but almost forgetting uba it's not that. Ultimately, when you are the present parent, and I'm speaking in the case of a present parent and an absent one, that sometimes you are so removed from wanting to care about this absent parent. And I'm speaking about us in the context of divorce parents. You are so removed emotionally, but you also are so present in the feelings of your kids. So when he decides to randomly show up and decide, there are days where these kids are just like, not today, mama. No, thank you. And you're like, my goodness, now I must now show up and fight on your behalf as if these people will only have, opinions when they become of age. And I think that's a great flaw. I think that's what puts us at odds sometimes in co-parenting outside the structure, is because people assume that kids don't have agency. They don't have opinions. They don't have views on the two people that raise them, which is why I'm excited, viewers, about the later parts of this episode, because we will certainly explore how we think and how they think. Okay. But Viwe, look, you threw me off a bit when you were like, nina worse, nina divorce le. Loss of death, because I know it's final. I know it's ordained. I know it's not because of any disruption. I know it's not because of any lack of control and self-control or any abusive situation. Yours is honestly due to issues that are beyond our understanding, where God decides, But certainly that creates work, What honesty do you have to communicate? I mean, how did you find having to... And I'm also just wanting to let in our viewers, before I complete the question, that Viwe's husband's death was not one where she anticipated it was going to happen. It was sudden, right? It was sudden in the sense that it was when everybody was confused and afraid. COVID-19 happened, guys. And it was that sudden for you. Now, just take me into confidence in us also. Uba, when you now have to go home to this beautiful being that you guys have created, mind you, and you have to break the news. what sort of space did you allow for yourself to be honest? Also in expressing how this affected you. Okanye ubukulanda, because I know as Africans, you can't display your honesty. You can't openly express how things affect you. So can you just let me in just quickly on that? How did that unfold for you?
At the time, the child was glutatak, if which normally she would either be ekhaya or kwazikhona. But for some reason, this time around, I think after Tatake got hospitalized, then she was glutatak. So when I heard the news, I remember the day before the news broke, what had happened is I was with my brother. It was like I could feel his soul leaving his body because I was restless, and I started to look at ipolisi zakhe, sorry to say, because I could literally feel that Ngati he's not going to make it.
My baby.
So right before we went to bed, we were at Sikona's place. I remember we were sitting, there's like a dining, Panga says Romini. As we were sitting there, I said to my sister that I could literally feel like there's something that is pressing on his chest. Can you please do me a favor? I'm chekishe. Uncheckshele, because she's a doctor. She some kind of access or kukwabanda bankwazi ungena payana, so that they can just tell me about unjani. So we went to sleep. After we went to sleep, they walked inside the room. They didn't have to say anything. I just looked outside and I saw it was still dark. And before they even broke the news, I knew
Actually
what had
left.
happened. And then when they said it, I couldn't even cry. Umqolo wami wavele wabanda. And then I had to go to my daughter and break the news
Oh, baby.
that her father, her best friend, as she called him, had just died. So I picked her up. We went to the place, Aposashlala Kona. I sat her down and I looked at her and I told her that, well, she asked, was he out of hospital yet? I said, baby, Udedi had to go and be with Jesus. She broke down and she said, remember she was 7, so she said, but mommy, why did it have to be my best friend?
What was Lilis? I know. Thank you for sharing that truth. And I mean, this is exactly why we're here. I think we are here for these organic conversations, and at times they'll be moving. And I like how you keep looking at her because she's been Lillian Dube. She's been crying.
Lillian Dube. Okay, it flew past. Lillian
She's
Dube.
been the Lillian of the... But I love that because, guys, loss is part of our lives. I think as we are born, death is also part of our certainty. And at times we have to navigate such waters, such rough waters with our little people. And I hope this resonates, and I hope for someone, you also understand at home that this is not something that happens to certain people. It can happen to anybody. And if you can find strength in knowing that you're not alone, I hope this moment presents that, or this conversation presents you with that. I understand the breaking of the news, which is like such a huge thing, but how much pain do you then express with your child? Was there any sharing in terms of, my goodness, mama ndinje namhlanje? And now were you like honest, or were you holding the fort where you like, hayi ndim umzali, I can't allow her to see me falling apart?
I remember after passing yakhe, the child, at the time Utatake would have to come back from work, which was about 6 p.m. The child would start crying for about 3 months. It's like she felt it in her body that now this is the time when Udedi was supposed to be coming back home. And when she started crying, I took her, and then I used to hold her and just cry with her, because I wanted to show her that this is not just her pain, but it's our pain, and we had to go through this together.
It's the family pain. I love that. How do you navigate that space where your headache is coming from this person that you're supposed to be co-parenting with?
Yes.
You know? And I'm not saying, because co-parenting post the divorce,
Yes.
I think people can actually be intentional. We'll get into it. You know, we'll get into how you can be intentional. There's a stage apho kukekelayo. Uyayibona mos ba this ship actually up here corner, but you're still called upon to parent.
Yeah.
You know, take me through that dynamic in your life. How did that play out, and how would you suggest that people that find themselves hula ship Titanic yabo? You know, how best or how better can they do compared to your situation?
That thing is tough. Because
Tell me about it.
I can give you different scenarios
Yeah.
in my very same old life. When it played itself out, I think it happened at the time when there was serious breakdown, where the woman that I'd been married to had to leave town because there were new job prospects.
Okay.
And she had to move out with the kids. That was problematic on its own. Your house was full of kids, a cooking wife, maybe a maid, you know, the toys. All of a sudden, all of that was gone. I felt like I was losing my mind. And then now you obviously have to acclimatize to new stages of co-parenting. It's foreign to you, it's overwhelming. The kids come. It's two of them. One of them doesn't want to go back. They want to stay with you.
Yo.
And then the other one is still much bambino, slightly, well, they can still both walk, but still, latching on their, is up.
Oh, yeah.
Bottle still on the bottle. And then they're like, I want money. I just like, she's not here with us. You here with me. Forget about money.
I'm the 100% parent now. Stop looking for the 50-50.
What's your problem? Did you see?
I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. So you find yourself yelling.
Yeah.
Right? And you realize that you are transposing your anger. Yeah. So you have to be quick to actually snap out of that situation where you become somebody that is going to be, I feel that the word toxic has lost its meaning. It's been
diluted. Yeah.
No, but then I'm just saying you don't become a conducive parent.
Because of course you're going through your own
because
things.
you're going through pain.
Yes.
And these people, it hurts you to see them miserable as well. And then when that pain reflects, you start doing things differently. To say, okay, look, I've got to be that soft parent now. I have to shout less, try and be more curious, understand more, be patient to explain certain things, because they're not used to them. They want to understand, and you're frustrating them because even you cannot explain your own emotions. All right, it's difficult because again you cannot speak ill or you
of the ex-partner
besmirch
actually
somebody else in their absence because it's their parent. Kids love their parents. So that's one thing we must be quick to wise up about. But it's not easy while you're still in the yeah.
I hear you. Yes, Con. I think we both can attest to something else. So we're losing this structure as we knew it,
Yeah.
but we're also losing our mothers.
Ooh.
And through both life-changing experiences, you are called upon to parent,
Yo.
right?
Viwe. Viwe, you know, if someone were to sit at a mom and have a conversation with them, the first thing they'll tell you is that Mama tells us all the time that she's broken. You can ask Viwe. I always wake up and say, people, I'm broken. Just expect
You were
as
not
much as-
made like this, but this is how you find yourself
Just
now.
expect as much as a broken person can deliver. You know, I mean, I think, guys, when I got a divorce, ne, it divorced and it was not even a lot of the love. I think it was Landaba you used to having your life controlled. It was also part of philosophy control. Part of philosophy control of the future, of the present and whatnot. It was just part of philosophy. I get losing my mother.
Like cherry on top.
You're losing my mother. I'm still spinning even as I'm sitting here. Losing my mother is visceral. The only way in which I'm able to lose my mother and still function is in knowing that grief is love. I'm grieving her so much because I loved her so much. So if I didn't love her as much as I do, then grief would be so easy. So I grieve her every day. But as I grieve her now, I grieve her knowing about, oh, this is love. Hey, I love this woman. And going through both is, oh gosh, it's
And still having to parent.
It's tough. It's very tough when you have to parent, and especially when you have to be a parent. So how I try to do it is I try to talk about her a lot with them. I would talk a lot about our lives before, and our lives now. It's very clear to us that our lives are not the same. We had this life with Gran. We were married, and we now have a life with just mom. And we make sure that these two lives, we don't as is classy, we don't say this new life with mama is inferior to the other one.
It is what it is.
Yes, we look at this life with mama and we think, oh, mama, we're so grateful for you, and it's a, we look at it that way as a family. We look at it. We look at there's a guy who wrote a book, 80 Tuesdays with Maury, and one of the chapters he says, we talk about how love goes on.
Life doesn't stop.
We sit and read, and then we teach it ourselves, and we teach each other how love goes on.
I love that.
And as we continue to love each other, we continue to love life. We continue to be grateful for this gift that carries on. And this is the last thing I wanted to say. The Egyptians believed that the Egyptians believed that you die twice, and the first time is when is the last time you draw your breath, ne? It's and the second time is the last time someone says your name. And it's been very important in our family. It's been one of our principles. This is how we look at it. We talk about Granny so much as a unit, and in that way, she'll never die the second time.
To live.
And even when we pray, we'll say her name, my father's name, all the names of the people that have gone before us. We say their names, and we tell them that we don't want them to ever leave us. So in some way, that also assists us as a unit. I say Ngumi Sahlembini. And Ngumi Sahlembini doesn't leave me.
I love
doesn't
that.
leave us.
I love that. Viwe, before I went through my greatest, I've lost mom as well. That has been the biggest other thing in my life. But with you, I actually want to explore something different. Before I actually went separate ways with my ex-spouse, in the years that we've lived together, there were certain roles we were so comfortably in. I knew, I mean, he was quite a hard man, so he was the disciplinarian, so to speak. Namos, I was more of a nurturer. So I was like, my kids here. I still recognize I have a flaw as far as that's concerned. I cannot discipline. I feel so bad when I'm shouting. I'm not a hard person. Like, I can't. And when I do, I carry the feeling. Oh. And I almost just want to ask you, because you were so well adapted, and I'm not saying that's the same for you, but how do you find that whatever roles you had adapted to in parenting with your ex, I mean, no, I can't call it ex, with your husband, because he did not leave, he just went to heaven, so to speak. But how do you find those roles? Do you find that, oh my goodness, suddenly, and how have you adapted? And when you realize, because there's a moment of realization, for me it was clear. I was like, yo, friend, shout to silly. In the role, like easily into and I was always taking the other side. So like you guys can even judge me like, oh yeah, but and right? How do you adapt around the roles that you had already established as a unit? And you must show up alone. Whether those roles are outside, I mean, I'm mentioning discipline because now weakness, like many years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm just grateful that God at least has given me cooperating kids. I negotiate in a blackmail, so then I okay, outside, no bad. But how do you navigate that space? Whether his role was financing or was what, but when kanjani, now that you find yourself alone.
Well, Viwe, I would say that my husband seemed to have had a plan on how he wanted to raise his daughter. The problem is that he didn't let me in on that plan. So, Andiaz, why would I say he had a plan? It's the things that he did, the qualities he was trying to instill in her that he knew that I didn't have. Like oversizitya naye, well, lazy. So he made sure he liked cooking with her. Well, you could see that this was a man with a plan, even the way
Yes, man,
he didn't want his daughter to wear izinto eziskimpi, though ezithandele eziskimpi ngoku.
Yeah.
I cannot take his role. I do not know who or how he wanted to raise his daughter or who he wanted his daughter to become and how he was going to guide her.
I love the honesty.
To become that, because he's not here and I cannot be him.
Bringing these people to earth was a effort by two, and ultimately I might be doing my best in trying to show up as the primary parent currently, but it doesn't really take away the fact that somebody else existed. And I can't need you to deny, guys. There's no need to deny it. There's no need to say to suddenly who's like, I've got it on control. Yes, two people came together and made these kids. And yes, we formulated our lives in different ways. Some areas of that actually worked. Okay.
I'm somebody, having to live alone. I do not force myself to cook, even though I should be eating healthily. But when the kids are here, the amount of fulfillment I get from cooking for them is really satisfying. And them, my kids can hype me up. I can cook the worst meal. They'll be like, Daddy, are you sure you're not you're not a low-key chef? They can just hype me up like that. And they see, the kids see their dad as their soul hero.
I understand.
So, and I want them to keep that notion that I'm their hero. So I try not to stop myself from doing the things that that constitute heroic acts.
Yes, super dad.
Proud of them. So
love it.
Then it's really I speak about it unrestrained.
Wow.
So that's what I do. I'm a dad who cooks.
Oh,
I'm a dad who cooks.
yes.
I cooked as Isoka.
As in Tony?
Isoka.
I wanna actually ndifuna uphinde uphinde.
I got spoiled when I got married because I got married to a dutiful,
When I said
very domesticated.
When I said ngicela uphinde, I thought you were saying you cook now as a sock. What about this era of your sockerness before I move on?
Jonga, it's like I had never started before. I had to relearn to cook because I had been spoiled. Now I realize that if I don't do it, no one will do it for me. You takeaways. I mean, you really. There were times when I just my stomach could turn at the thought of eating away.
I thought you were constipated from bread. Please forgive me.
I realized that I need to cook, And
I love that. I love that.
Look, I'm a cooking dad.
I love that.
Don't shy away from the pots.
I love that. So, what sort of techniques did you use to ensure that it's not just your brokenness that's embraced in the household? That as we said earlier on, that our kids have their own agency, or at least should.
Okay.
Right? And also, many emotions is our, and they also carry their own judgments of situations. So, I buy your controlled, in a lab situation, you have your control sample, and then, you know what I mean? They're not like your neutral sample. They are affected by our lives. And even seeing a mother that's constantly saying, yeah, indie broken. Yeah. So how did you, how did you make sure that you take them along?
And I think God actually prepared me for that, prepared me for this big thing that was going to happen, because I then got to read her world. Ne? So I read how she found a list of izinto that her husband had wanted to teach her child, the kind of person, the prayers that he wanted over umtanaki, the kind of person he wanted the child to be. Just a whole lot of, I wanted to play the piano. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do this. So she kind of had this framework of, these are the things that she wanted. And so I think at the back of my mind, then I was able to sort of make a map. Now, this is before I even divorced. At the end of, so it gave me this map. So this map is how I played it. I played it by knowing I have 4 children. I already knew that was a lot. But what I did was I made sure that I have time for each and every for number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. And I made sure I did. I made sure I knew who Lutando is. Okay, Lutando is a bit more reserved, a bit more fragile. And and you look at M is a princess. I have to be princessy with her, ballet and what have you. And then Lwazi, my second born, is adopted. And Lwazi has got needs that are very different. Third born,
Second.
My
fault from Uyabapitanis.
He's a third born. There's too many of them. So he's a third born. So through Lwazi, there's a lot of needs. You have to be there. You have to make sure that you show him, Lwazi, you're doing well. You have to be his supporter, his everything. And that doesn't change. And all of them have all these things. So, and then I go through the divorce and I go through being broken. But in my brokenness, I kind of already had a roadmap as to how to raise them. So even when I'm sitting, I'd have like 30 minutes with this child every day. And even when I'm sitting, I'm like, mommy's broken, huh? Okay, let's just do this. We're used to doing it. Tell me what's happening in your life right now. Girlfriend, I don't think you should have. I don't think you're ready. You don't.
Hey, mother.
and then, but mom, do you know how many boyfriends you get to have? So I think so for me, it assisted me a lot to have a relationship with each and every one of them, because I carried that on even as our lives were changing. Our lives changed drastically, but even with that change, there were things that I had ensured that would be constant. So I'm a very happy parent with that regards, because I know them in and out. I know what Lwazi's needs are. I know their needs. I didn't learn their needs yesterday. I learned their needs when they were 1, 2, 3, 4. I taught them history. Now they think, when they go to school, they're like, Mommy, people are asking, why did we know this before it was taught to us? I made sure, I sat down, looked at all the literature. I'm going to teach them all the history. chemistry, all the physics I'm going to teach them. I mean, they are in love with Oppenheimer like me. You know, so I've had to teach them so many things. And at the same time, we've had to go through pain together. And another thing we do to ensure that we remain a unit and a unit that understands each other is that we read together. You know, Mitch album we read Mitch a lot. And how do we make sure that I'm not broken? I teach them about grief, elements of grief. You know, elements of grief, you know, they know that there's going to be anger, denial, bargaining, whatnot. And the nice thing that I can teach you now is that there is now a sixth element of grief. The sixth element has been called finding meaning. Can you find meaning in it all?
In the pain.
So for me, we will always be in each other's lives, and we will always, as a unit, find meaning. And then we even have a name. Our name is Amherst. So as a group, we have a name. The five of us, we call House Amherst.
Absolutely.
And that teaches them something. Amherst stands for the place that Emily Dickinson was born in. Emily Dickinson, our favorite poet, mainly mine. And as Amherst, there are ways in which we live our life.
Post your issue. What type of parent are you? Have you changed in your parenting? Have you had to adapt? Are you the same parent you were before the loss of your husband for you?
I will say that I did change. I did change because now I do not have a helper. I no longer have a husband. Now I have to play a role of being strict and soft. Because I know I cannot be a dad, but I do have to touch in elements of being strict and remind my daughter of who her father used to be. And sometimes it will bring her back into whatever that I want her to do, or bring her back in concentration in just reminding her who her father was.
Mawet,
Yes, ma'am.
you were a father and you were the character and you were whatever version of father you imagined yourself to be suitable when you had a wife, right? To your kids. Have you changed now, seeing yourself as a father still, but in parenting under different circumstances?
Guys, I would be hard to the me prior to the divorce. I think I was much younger, less perhaps knowledgeable, but I think I was coming okay. While the divorce was an ugly part of my life.
History.
But I think I regrouped and I carried on with the trajectory of self-development, becoming a better parent, becoming a better co-parent, becoming a better brother, colleague, human being, you know.
If I had to ask your ex-husband what type of parent you are now compared to then, what would be his assessment of your parenting? Not you as a wife or ex-wife. How do you imagine he'd respond?
I'd be very unhappy if he had to assess anything that has to do with me. He definitely has no right. Oh, wow. I'm sure if there was a way I could take him to court, I would.
For even responding to that question?
Aibo, who is he? Who is he? Aibo.
That's persuasive.
Answer something that has to do with me. You?
I love that because I'm also on the same. I wouldn't want to be assessed by him. Can I say that now, viewers? I am also riding the same wave. But I was hoping your situation is not like mine. We always speak about our kids as though they do not carry their own agency, as though they do not carry feelings and emotions, and they are not affected by our actions and how we behave. So today, for the first time, we have a child, but he's not a child by any standard because he is off to varsity. Where are you going to varsity again?
The USA.
The USA. All right, so I will introduce my lovely, lovely guest for today. Our guest today is Aza, and he happens to be a son of somebody that we're all too familiar with in the show, Dr. Zikona. And we thought to bring him on board today because we wanted to actually explore and from a I want to call it a child, but you know what I mean. From a child perspective, how do our actions affect them, and how do they feel about certain things in our lives? Azza, welcome. Do you want to say hi to our viewers?
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Azza, guys, is a star in his life. He's a rugby player. He's that child. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Honestly, this is going to be so brief, but yet so impactful. I want you to just quickly tell me, right, having to now grow up in a home with just a mama, when it was mom and dad at some point. Is there a difference? Have you had to adapt and play a different role as the firstborn son? How did that play out for you?
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. I've had to learn to be quite independent at quite a young age. It was pretty hard. It was pretty hard to adjust, but I think I got used to it.
I can imagine. But in terms of your dynamics amongst your peers, you know, and I'm asking because I also realized that although it will not affect you alone, but I mean, having to navigate a space where other kids are saying, particularly for you as a rugby player, as a star rugby player, because that's how you're going to the USA and going to play there. But I'm also just saying, how does that dynamic play? How does it make you feel when your peers have their fathers shouting in the, you know what I mean? And when you don't, do those thoughts about what has happened in the family visit you from time to time in such moments?
It's something I've only really thought about in my matric year, which was last year, where you actually go like, you look on the side of the field and you're like, I'd like to have a dad shouting there for me. Not that my mother didn't show any support. It's just she's given me a lot. I'm forever grateful for it. But I only really do I started thinking about it when I was a matric. You know what I mean? Because of course, when you're with your best friends, they have their mom and dads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not something that I've shied away from. I've always I don't want to say embraced the fact, but I've always made it known that I'm a child of divorce and that I don't have a father figure in my life. I never try to hide it because I don't know. That's just not who I am.
Did that give you power though? Owning your story.
Yes,
Is it okay?
Say,
because I know other people that sort of. But in fact, before I even go there, how has communication been like around the situation of your parents' issue? What sort of conversations did you have with your mother? And what sort of conversation did you have with your father? And when you're balancing both, how did they shape you into how you view your new situation where they're not together?
Well, so my mom's second marriage, I got the divorce around 2016, so I think I was grade 4, grade 5.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily understand the gravity of what was happening. I got told it was a divorce. When you have that gut feeling that everything's changed, but you can't.
Yeah, you can't
I don't understand what it is like.
Yeah.
It's like something big. It's like, I'm getting divorced, but I didn't know what it was at the time. But it was quite a huge shift. And then the communication, the nice part is that my mom's always been transparent. But I think sometimes that's also not nice because I got told a lot of heavy stuff at a young age.
I can imagine.
And then also regarding my mom's first divorce, which she disclosed to me before I actually went off to boarding school.
Yes.
It's something that she hasn't tried to necessarily hide from me. She's tried to include me in it, which I'm always respectful and thankful for. But the communication's been good.
On both sides, is that it?
She's always been very honest and transparent with me.
And the father figures?
And then my father figures, so my ex-stepfather, we did have a pretty good relationship. My biological father, we don't necessarily have the strongest relationship. I've only ever seen him once in person, which was on my 12th birthday, 2017. We don't
there's not much of a relationship going on there, is it?
There isn't.
But Azza, what do you think as parents we get so wrong when we're raising you and with having to deal with all these dynamics? And I'm asking you because at some point, as you might also know, you will come of age and you will say, are there things that you know for sure that, irrespective of whether or not my marriage works, this I would not want my kids to go through?
No, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. I don't want my children to ever go see me go through a divorce because it's so mentally, financially draining. You see a lot, and it's something that hopefully I hope I don't go through. But you never know with the future.
You just never know.
But what people need to understand is that for parents, it's also their first time too. You know what I mean? It's not like it's their first time as well.
It is. It is.
You can't judge them too harshly.
Yeah, is it? So has that helped you a bit in terms of how you conceive? Because also, I just worry that sometimes when you go through these things, you might be so hard around them in our lives where we're just like, I'll never go through it. And I don't know, is that a strong thing in your life?
Listen, I believe in like happily ever afters and everything. But like due to seeing my mother's own like relationships, as well as like people in general, it's especially this young age, I'm very scared. Like I'd love like society, like I'd love to be like, I want to get married, but personally I don't know.
You don't know. There's less of you in the world. We need you guys to show up. Our daughters must be married. I'm sure I speak for all of you navigators. So you don't get to not vote on this issue because there's less of you guys, population-wise. So you'll be like, I'm not sure. What's that about?
No, it's just marriage. I feel like marriage is... trying to find the right words, actually.
I'm here for it.
Marriage...
Kuningi. Is it too early for you to respond to this question?
I think it's too early, but like I feel like you don't necessarily have to put a ring on someone's finger to be with them. Do you know what I mean? I feel like you don't have to put the pressure of marriage. But also, I'm very old school. I do believe in marriage. I do believe in asking someone's father's hand and their daughter's like.
I love that. Let's talk about your mother, because I pick up and I know that you love her so much. When you imagine Mama in her marriage situation and post-marriage, which one do you take?
Two different people.
Two different people. Which one is your favorite?
Both of them are my favorite. She's my mom, but like, are you gonna ask when she was like happiest? You have to be specific.
Absolutely.
When was she happiest?
No, because I don't know if it should be that definition of when she was at her happiest. But when do you feel you connect with her?
When did
more?
me and her connect more?
Yeah.
Okay, we clash a lot in my adolescence. I can't lie. Imagine having a 14-year-old kid who doesn't have a father figure that plays sports. Of course, there's going to be
a lot of clashing.
I was irritated. I'm very happy that she put up with me. Like we had many arguments, but I think that's what brought us closer.
Yes.
And I think we got really close from the age of like 16, 17 till now, because that's when I really started to understand the ways of life. I stopped leaving. Like, I left PlayStation, all that boring stuff, and I understood why decisions were made. And
I want you to speak to that child who is sitting currently with the cloud of parents going through a divorce, who thinks life is coming to an end. And I just want you to honestly, just from your heart, take them on this, whatever journey, whatever words you use. And also just to sort of let them know that everything does actually turn out.
No, I just want to say that I'm a firm believer in that everything happens for a reason. God sets out a plan for everyone, and the grass is always greener at the end of the day. But I understand that your current situation is hard now, and it will get better. I know it doesn't sound ideal now, but you just got to believe. I think faith.
Absolutely.
Faith can help, and understand that there's more to life than your parents' marriage. If you get what I mean, there's. You can still love them both. They don't have to be in love, but it's very scary. But embrace it though. Don't be afraid of it.
Absolutely. I love that. I could have never said that better. Thank you so much. I think what Aza has said, and I think we're speaking to the fellow kids that we have to be carried through the experience, and sometimes they get neglected and left over because parents are still dealing with their own raw emotions. But Oksala, having parented two daughters through the experience, life does have a way of sorting itself out. That's what we've witnessed, and that's what is just said here. Carry a bit of faith, and Bandonabam, it is okay. Life does go on. God is intentional. You might be going through the winter through your parents, but I promise you, He has not forgotten you. Okay. So let's all navigate life together. Keep subscribing and commenting, and it's a wrap.
I know you love me so. I know you love me so.